Hey, this is Lewis Howard, your favorite inspirer for life, living, and just doing well. I hope I'm doing this broadcast around spring break in America. Maybe it's spring break where you are. But it's definitely the beginning of spring here. I know in some places the beginning of fall. I was just talking to someone that just got back from Brazil, and it was the beginning of fall. And so, to that end, I wanted to just share some principal insights about your journey. Life is like a journey. Life is like a movie. And to accomplish a journey, it is said that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. But the step is not the whole journey, right? It's the 1,000 miles get you to the journey. And I, like a lot of people, is I like movies. I have a collection of movies. I built a home that had a state of the art movie theater in it. And so I would spend time watching my favorite movies. One of the things that I began to realize is that if I switched to cable and I just jumped into a show or a movie, I would come into a scene. And that scene would give me some indications about what's happening in the movie, but the scene was not the whole movie. I'd have to stay a little bit and watch more of it and maybe get a description of it, or wait until I could watch the whole thing from beginning to end. Your life, as best I can describe it, is like a movie. Your life has a script. Whether you know it or not, there's a script for your life. There is a blueprint, if you will, for how your life should be led. Each of us are given certain gifts, talents, and abilities by the divine, by God, by heaven. And it is up to you to develop those gifts, those talents, and abilities into life. But you have it in you, right? A lot of people go get the education and they get the training and they get the experience. That's great. But you also have some built in gifts. For example, if you're a mom, you don't need to go to mom school to know your kid's crying. You could have 5 kids, and that mom knows that that scream is a different scream than the other. That comes from within. Nobody teaches you how to recognize your child's cry, right? Nobody teaches you how to immediately respond to a situation with a particular answer. We've had people in tremendous crisis situation. I'm thinking back to 9/11, which was some years back, and there were executives stuck on an elevator who was using their cell phone to attempt to call someone to try to find out what was going on. But there was also a window washer that was among them that was also stuck in that elevator along with those high-end executives. And the window washer came up with an idea to jam the door and get the elevator stuck between floors so they could literally climb out. And sometime later, as we well know, that building came down. But that window washer used his gifts, his talents, and his instinctive experience probably saved the lives of a few people, right? What's your gift for? What's your ability for? Have you been told you don't have a gift? I was one of those kids that was grown up and told me I didn't have a gift. I didn't have that. But you are all, every human being, 8 billion people on the planet are front loaded with some gifts, some talents, and abilities. And it's up to you to get those developed. Sometimes, if you have a good coach, a mentor, somebody around you, they can help you develop those. But a lot of times, you have to learn. As my favorite saying goes, crawl, walk, run in your gifts. But the point of today's really discussion is about scenes, uh, phases. You know, when we go through life, you go through different phases. I have the infant phase, I have the toddler phase, I have the young child phase, and I have the teenage phase, and I have the adult phase, right? So we go through all of these phases, but the key is to not get stuck in any one of those phases, right? To keep it moving. You don't want to be 40 years old and still acting like a child. Some people do, right? They're still kicking and screaming, but you have to move on. So, when you're a child, you act like a child. But when you are becoming an adult, you have to put childish things away. I got to start acting like adult. I got to live in a new scene. So sometimes in life, you get stuck in a scene. Maybe you had a divorce. Maybe there was a death in the family. Maybe there was a sickness. Maybe there was a job loss. Maybe there was a financial crisis. Maybe there's some other kind of trauma and drama that came into your life that caused you to be stuck in a particular place. Maybe that's a geography place. Maybe that's a mental place. There are people mentally, they're stuck. They're not in 2022. They're in a different place because something happened. Sometimes it's trauma. People get traumatized so badly that they are stuck. Failures can do that. You can have a failure, dramatic failure in life, whether it's a business failure, marriage failure, whatever, cultural failure, and you're stuck. You can spend years trying to dig yourself out of something and you never really move on. There are people that never get over hurts, pains, disappointments. You, as an individual, have to find a way to get out of that phase, right? To get out of that mental state, because it is a mental state. If you're supposed to be in one city, but you're stuck in another city, guess what? I've got to figure out how to get out of this city and get to the place that I want to be. So let's say, for example, I'm unemployed in California, but there's a job opportunity in Montana, right? But I'm not in Montana. I'm stuck in California. So I've got to figure out a way how to get from California to Montana if that's where my opportunity is. It will do me no good to stay in Montana or stay in California if my opportunity is not there. Okay. So where is your opportunity? Where should you be at this stage? As you're listening to me right now, even if it's just one person, where should you be? Are you where you should be, or are you stuck someplace as a result of something that happened to you? People can get you stuck. People can tell you certain things about yourself that you start to believe, and then you don't move, right? One of the things that I've heard a lot about me is that I'm too big for my britches. I'm trying to do too much. Okay. So for a person to say that, number one, that's an observation, can't be a judgment because they don't know enough about me. They would have to know my whole life story. They would have to know me from the beginning, the middle, and where I am right now. Most people do not know your whole life story. So how can someone tell you what your full potential is when they weren't there in the beginning? They don't know what was put in. They're certainly not God, so they don't know what you were front loaded with as, right? But if I believe that I'm a second class citizen because of the color of my skin, I'm not as good as the next person because I'm a man, or I am not as good because I don't have the education or I don't have the wealth, whatever it is. And if I start to believe that, then I become that, right? I get stuck. For years, I was stuck with low self-esteem because I looked different than the other kids that I was around, because being of mixed heritage and mixed race, you look a little bit different. And so I looked a little bit different, and kids used to pick on me because of that. And it hurt my self-esteem. So I wasn't 100% confident in who I was. So whenever I went into a crowd or met somebody new, I was very self-conscious. It's because I didn't esteem myself worthy to do that, to be in this new place, right? Especially when people put on the Ritz, put on the airs, act like they all that in a bag of chips, and then you feel like, man, I'm just some crusty leftovers. People can make you feel like that, but nobody. You can only be a failure, a loser by your own consent. Doesn't matter what the facts say. I'm not saying that if they're not facts or circumstance that say you've had a setback, then acknowledge that. But that doesn't mean you don't have a comeback, because a setup is a setup for the comeback. And that's straight out of Tim Story. If you don't know Tim Story, you got to look him up. Great guy, right? A setback leads to a comeback. We love comeback stories. So if you're stuck someplace, you may need a comeback, right? You may need a person, place, or thing that comes along to get you out. But for goodness sake, don't stay stuck. The scene is not the movie. I can't say that enough. People are stuck in the 1980s scene of their life. They're stuck in the 1990s scene. They're stuck in the 2000 scene. Are you stuck someplace that you don't need to be financially? Right? Are you working the same job you were working 20 years ago, making $1 more? You might be stuck, right? Are you having hanging around the same people that you've been hanging around with forever and a day, and you know it's not good for you? You might be stuck. Are you wearing the same hairdo? You won't even change your hair, your clothes, or anything. You still dress like it's the 60s. You're stuck, right? Life is not designed to be stuck. I said at the beginning, life is a journey. You know what a journey is? You keep it moving, right? A movie doesn't stop on one scene. Guess what? It keeps moving. It keeps moving. We're designed to keep moving. If you're not moving in your life, then you're stuck. And the worst part of being stuck is when you pass that stuckness on to other people. I know a number of people that they don't want to see anybody else advance, so they become obstacles. They become tacklers and blockers, right? It's like football, right? American football. In order for one side to keep the other side from moving forward on the ground, they try to tackle you. There are people that try to tackle you because they want to keep you where you are, right? And there's sometimes people who act like they have your best interest, but they do not. Because if they had your best interest, they would be encouraging, as we do with the Lewis Howard Live Show, to become the best version of yourself. And you know what that sometimes means? That sometimes means outgrowing that person, right? So that sometimes means leaving that person. Not everybody's in your life for permanent. Sometimes people are just there temporary. Sometimes people are there for the short term, and others are there for the long term. You got to kind of flesh that out, because sometimes we're hanging around people we should have let go a long time ago, and they're causing us to be stuck. Every time you try to move, or they are full of trauma and drama, you can't even move because you're always dealing with their trauma and their drama, and you're not managing your own journey. I know people that it is their whole structure is to keep somebody else handling their problem. It's always somebody else's fault. Somebody else did it. Somebody else, somebody else. And so I want to challenge you today really is to think about, how do I do it? Number one, I want to tell you, in order to change the scene that you're in, number one, you got to think outside the box, right? You got to think beyond where you are right now. If your salary is $1, think about doubling your salary in a year, okay? If you are living in an apartment, think outside the box about owning a home. If you own a small home now, think about outside the box of owning a bigger home. If you're working for someone, but you know you have the gift and talent abilities to run your own business, think outside the box. Start meditating, pondering, giving some thought to that. That's how you get out the box. You don't get out the box by just constantly thinking about, oh man, another day, another dollar. Oh, can't kill nothing, won't nothing die. How about another day, another million? How about every place the soles of my foot tread, I have influence, I have favor, I got open doors, things are happening for me. How about those thoughts? Get some pictures. Number two, get some images. If you can't be visual that way, go get some visual images. You need to own a car or a better car, go get a vision of that. Post it somewhere you can see it. You've heard that over the years. You know why you heard it over the years? Because it actually works. Post it where you can see it. There's three parts to you, right? There's the physical part, there is the soul part, and then there's the spirit part. And the spirit part, you don't control. It's auto suggestion. So what I'm suggesting to you is you get auto suggestion to you, right? Get something in front of you that is an image of where you want to go, not where you are. If you want to see your kids healthy, happy, get images of healthy, happy children. Get images of healthy, happy marriages. Get images of it, whatever it is to you, however you relate, whether that's on your smartphone device, your iPad, or something that pops up as a message. You can get an alert that will pop up on your phone to tell you you're awesome today, right? You've got to get out of it. And watching the news every day, surfing the web, surfing Facebook, looking at everybody else doing their thing is not getting you unstuck. Right. I'm always challenging myself by because I love to watch sports and I love to watch movies and I love to watch things, but I always challenge myself. Remember, these people are at work. They're getting paid to do that. I'm not getting paid to be their fans, entertainment, or followers. So I need to be working my own land, my own opportunities, so I can keep my own journey moving. Sometimes the fallacy is by watching somebody else's journey move because they're moving, you think you're moving with them. You are not. You are not. I love it when people walk up to a celebrity and call them by their name like they're best friends. Oh, yeah, I know Brad Pitt. Hey, Brad, what's up? Like we friends. We're not friends. You just been watching Brad Pitt work all these years in the movies, and you have a familiarity with his work and his craft and his business, and somehow you think that gives you an association. It does not. It does not. I have so many people come up to me, and say, "Oh, I know Lewis, or I know him." They know me from social media. They may know me from the Lewis Howard Live Show. They may know me from other marketing, magazines, paintings, things that I've been in, but they don't know me personally, right? They're not part of my inner circle. There's a few people that say, "Hey, I know Lewis," then be rest assured that they know because they are part of it. So I want to challenge you today that the scene that you're in is not the whole movie. Don't get stuck. There is another scene coming. There is another thing up ahead. Your life is a multimedia screen. Don't get stuck on one screen. You've got multiple aspects to your life. Hey, this is Lewis Howard, always loving to inspire and help you become the best version of yourself. We'll see you again on another program. Remember, sharing is caring. Send this out to somebody if you think that they could benefit from it. Don't forget that we have books on Amazon, books Inside the Mind of Champions, From Here to There, and Living Up in a Down World that I wrote specifically for getting through coronavirus, COVID-19, the pandemic, however it was described, because of the pain and difficulty that was associated with going through that. So get a copy of those books. They really do help. And I wrote them as a gift to teach you principles and power and inspiration, how to become the best version of yourself. We'll see you soon.